go. Howdy. How you guys doing? It's me, Uncle Frank. It is a Sunday morning by the time you guys are seeing this. So it's time for my little weekly update. Happy Easter for, I think it is Easter Sunday, right? I want to celebrate Easter, so that is going to be a fun holiday. But that's not what this is about. This isn't a video about Easter. This is my weekly check-in, check-up video so you guys know that I'm trying to do things. I have 10,000 more Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the garage than I did a few days ago. I'm kind of regretting it. There's a lot of them. Now, a lot of them are new, so it's going to be easy to sort through them and all that jazz once they're organized by set. But there's also, I've noticed going through it, there's a lot of cards where it's just like 1 or 2 or 3 cards from a given set. And that's going to be annoying to sort through, just to sift them all through and get them organized. It's easier when they're all just from one set, you know? Just one big block of cards from one set. It's way easier to organize than just a bunch of stuff from a bunch of different sets. It's tedious doing it like that. There's also some Korean Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the pile. Some Japanese cards, but there's a few Korean cards in the pile, and that's... I don't think I've owned any Korean Yu-Gi-Oh cards ever, so I had to have those in the collection, I suppose. This has been a very fun week for me. Had a lot go wrong, had a lot go right. I found out that I'm not losing as much weight as I hoped I was, so I'm gonna squeeze in some more exercises in the future before and after bed. So go to sleep, get some exercises, wake up, do some exercises. You guys get what I'm saying. I have to watch how much food I'm eating too, because that ain't helping. But, you know, it is what it is. Try my best. I wanted to spend a few minutes and just talk about Yu-Gi-Oh again. And no, not just the giant pile of bulk cards I've got, because that's going to be a few days worth of sorting at the very least. Not looking forward to that, but work needs to get done. I want to talk about the Air Neos situation over the course of the week. If you guys aren't aware, some details came to light regarding the Air Neos situation. And for those of you who don't know, Elemental Hero Air Neos was a fusion card from... what set was that? I want to say Force the Breaker, but I feel like that's wrong. One of my Yu-Gi-Oh friends is going to see this and yell at me. But point is, it's an old Yu-Gi-Oh card that has never been reprinted. Ever. Enemy of Justice? I'm not going to worry about it. Point is, it's an old Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's pretty iconic. It was from the anime, and it never got a reprint. And over this week, someone dug up and found that there was an old lawsuit from an American comic book creator who believed that Elemental Hero Air Neos infringed upon his copyrights for a character that he had created, and took Konami and a few other companies associated with Yu-Gi-Oh to court over it. Now, I'm not going to talk about legalese on this channel because it's not in any way something I'm any knowledgeable on. I'm the furthest thing from a lawyer, I think. I have a soul, for one thing. But it's good, I think, to finally have maybe not an answer, because, you know, no one at Konami is going to come out and say that this is the reason they haven't reprinted Air Neos, right? But it is good to have a bit of, you know, a bit of an answer, because it's sort of an answer. If this, you know, this kind of answers a lot of questions people have had over the years, because there have been people asking about Air Neos for a very long time. And I don't know. When I was reading the link to the article, because it was posted on the Discord, while I was reading it, I was like, damn, this feels good to finally know. And then I watched a few videos from other content creators covering the subject, and that was, I don't want to say like cathartic to finally get some answers for the whole situation, but I don't know. I just felt kind of relieved to finally have an answer for the whole why was Airneos not printed ever again situation. And then it led to me thinking about the reserved list for Magic the Gathering and why none of those cards are ever going to be reprinted, with an actual answer, obviously. And how Pokemon approaches its reprints, if it ever does reprints. And, it just gave me an idea for a set of videos to do in the future where I talk about the major card games and other card games like Flesh and Blood, etc., and how they approach not just their reprints, but how the cards they choose not to reprint, and how that can affect the secondary market. So I'm going to put out one of those videos tonight or tomorrow, whenever you guys see it. It's up to you guys, I guess. But I want to do a series of videos just examining, how things like the reserved list or Airneos, can affect a secondary market, a collector's market, and the fan mindset when it comes to approaching these older cards that people just don't have access to. Very loud car. Very loud car over there. But I also got into a conversation on Discord about Tales of Symphonia, and I was forced to think about video games again and what I want to do on the channel regarding recording video games, because I don't have like a capture card. So I was thinking about just doing some like PC game recordings, because that's relatively easy to do, and talking over it. But I do want to talk about older vintage games. It's over here on the shelf, and Tales of Symphonia came up. Nobody comment on the ponytail, okay? Nobody comment on it. I got Tales of Symphonia over there for the GameCube. Okay. Wonderful game. One of my favorites for the console. And, in my opinion, one of the top 10 JRPGs of all time ever released. And earlier today, because it was earlier today when it happened, yesterday for you guys probably, one of the guys over on Discord asked me, what about it is so groundbreaking for you? Why do you think it's so good? And I thought about it for a second. I was like, there's nothing in it that's groundbreaking. It's not a huge revolutionary game for the genre, or even for the series. But what I like about Tales of Symphonia is that it takes a lot of innovations that other games had done up until that point, polished them out a bit, and kind of collected them all into one perfect capstone experience for the genre. And I have been doing this for a long time. I tend to judge video games, newer releases, in comparison to what has already existed in the genre before. So for instance, I tend to judge all Metroidvanias in comparison to Super Metroid, which is also up there, I think. Yeah, I've got Super Metroid. Awesome. I tend to judge Metroidvanias in comparison to Super Metroid. So when a game comes along like Hollow Knight, which is... How old is Hollow Knight now? Like 6 years? We're never getting Silk Song. I tend to compare it to Super Metroid. Because in my opinion, Super Metroid is one of the best possible examples of how to do that genre right. And in my opinion, Tales of Symphonia is the best possible example of a baseline, high-quality JRPG. It has so much good content, not just in the story, but inside content. A lot of the mechanics are really good, really smooth, really polished. It has some bad, there's bad segments of the game. Every game is going to have some downsides, but in my opinion, Tales of Symphonia does so much right that it serves as a perfect example of what a JRPG should be. Not just in terms of mechanics and story and themes and all that jazz, but just in terms of overall play experience, which I think is very important. And that was just something I was thinking about earlier, How do I get around to talking about video games? Well, I think examining experiences and how I felt when I first played the games is something that that's probably how I'm going to approach the topic when I get around to more broadly covering games on the channel. What I was aware of going into the game, my first experience with it, and how it compares to what I think is the best example of its genre. And for a lot of the games I've played, they are, in my opinion, the best examples of the genre. Not all of them, obviously. Not every game I've played is the best game ever. That's just not how it works. But I have played a lot of games that I think are just, by my definition, just really solid fucking picks for their genre. Okay, I'm going to turn around again to look at the list. I don't hear any comments on my ponytail. We got Star Tropics, we got Tales of Symphonia, we got a loud car outside trying to rev its engine. Gale of Darkness, got Pokemon over there. Is monster catching a genre? I'm gonna count monster catching as a genre. We got Bloodborne. I don't think I have a copy of Street Fighter Alpha 2 on my shelf, and that's one of my favorite examples of a fighting game. But I digress. I just did a lot of thinking today about video games and what I look for in a video game, what I like about video games, and how I might talk about them in the future. So, just wanted to put that out there and let you guys know that that's something that has been occupying my thoughts. Okay? Good? We're good to go? Cool. That's really all I've got for you kids today. There's a lot of sorting going on. Air Neos news, which was fun. And some video game thinking. And sooner or later, I'm going to be doing so much thinking about video games that there's actually going to be video game content on the channel. You mark my words. I don't know what it's going to be, and I don't know how I'm going to get around to doing it, but sooner or later, gaming is going to be on here. But for now, that's all I've got. I'll see you guys next week with next week's update. Ciao.